So 3 days ago, I was talking to somebody about how I wanted to start posting more or maybe getting a podcast going about flat earth topics. And I was complaining and saying, I posted this video on TikTok like a little over a month ago. It's sitting at like 150 views. Most of the comments were super negative. And even though I believe it from the bottom of my heart to be true, I didn't really want to face the backlash. My main point in this conversation as to why it was like really getting to me that I was like not sharing what I have come upon in research is because I believe that flat earth is a direct pipeline to God. And I just kept going on and saying, I don't think anybody cares what I have to say about this. I don't really think anybody agrees with me. I don't think anybody's going to believe me. The video that this comment came from was posted over a month ago. So I had this conversation 3 nights ago. The very next day, this video immediately started going viral after like over a month. And as crazy as it sounds, I'm like, is this God like telling me like get this out there? Because that video sat at like no views for like months. And the morning after I had that conversation, it immediately went viral with tons of comments saying, I've believed this for years and nobody believes me. Everybody thinks I'm crazy, etc. I just feel like it's a sign. But I'm totally with you. Everybody around me thinks that I'm nuts. I've learned to like kind of not care. I think the best thing for us to do is to present the information, but kind of give people the option to stay within their beliefs and kind of just breadcrumb people with tidbits of information. And then over time, hope that they come to a similar conclusion. And if they think we're crazy, we kind of have to let them think that we're crazy. Because speaking from my own experience, when I was on the flip side and I didn't believe in stuff like this, there were 2 people in specific that opened my mind to this. And I always kind of thought of them as like, oh, like I like them, they're nice, but they're crazy. They think that the earth is flat. And I was never like outwardly mean to them or anything like that about it. It was just kind of like my inner monologue, like, okay, like let me keep you at an arm's length. Well, because of their kindness and their patience and their ability to kind of just like put the information out there, but not being mean to me for not believing it, they kind of just like put it out there as in, these are my beliefs, here's why I believe it. I think that specifically was what made me come around to it, because I think a lot of us get so frustrated with like the name calling and everything else, and rightfully so, because it happens to me too, that anybody that like disagrees with us, sometimes we feel the urge to be like, like you don't know what's going on, and we do. And I think that really pushes people away. So I try really hard not to do that, even though things can get extremely frustrating at times. Stay strong in your beliefs and try to ignore the crazy nutcase tinfoil hat comments. I try to do the same. And thank you for the kind comment. I'm really happy to see that a lot of people are more comfortable with like saying, hey, this is what I believe. And I have a lot of friends on TikTok and in real life that now I'm the crazy friend. Like they like me, we're friends, but they're like, yeah, that's not for me. And you kind of just have to let it be like that. I'm sure you've probably learned that by now, but I'm just babbling. And I hope you don't mind that I chose your comment to respond to. I just had a couple things to say regarding this, and I liked this comment, so I chose it.
This guy was really talking to people from the moon. Why did they have to lie to us and say that it was a phone call all these years? Until like 2015, when people started looking into this kind of stuff and debunking all of it. And then they came up with the excuse that, oh, well, it was just satellites, right? We were sending them via satellite transmission, even though we made it look like a phone call from the White House. Why wouldn't he just come out and say, hey, Buzz and Neil, I'm talking to you from the White House via satellite transmission, instead of, I'm talking to you from a telephone? Maybe because they're lying.
Once you see that this is obviously CGI, you can't unsee it. I'm not at all trying to be condescending or anything like that, but I mean, this is a 2012 picture, and it's like they're playing in our face. We have movies with better CGI. Like Interstellar is more believable than this, or any of the pictures that you look up. This is for entertainment purposes only, and these are strictly my opinions.
So of course the atmosphere does not refract as the Fresnel lens does, because the atmosphere refracts at an index of a 1.003 and water at 1.33 and glass at 1.5, unless of course we see too far.
What type of refraction is making that happen? It's a brand new anomaly. Please explain. Thousands of people are waiting.
It is a coefficient of refraction of 2.0 or higher.
Okay, so basically, I guess we're just gonna have to accept this as a concession because you're gonna keep doing it. Like
I've given you empirical measurements that coefficient of refraction 2.0 or higher happens over water. The 2.0 coefficient of refraction causes the light ray to bend at the same radius as the Earth. It allows us to see indefinitely far over the Earth. allows us to see indefinitely far over the Earth.
And unfortunately, that is the world. If science does not approve, you're not going to believe it. But I'm here for those that have ears to listen, eyes to see, and a free mind to think for themselves. So this video wasn't really intended for you, Relentless, or science versus pseudoscience guy, or helping the flat earthers guy. You guys are never going to see truth because you guys deny the simple truth. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through him. Accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior.
They supposedly left, there was no visible flame on the lunar module, even though hypergolic fuel visibly burns in a vacuum. And we never hear the 140 decibel rocket engine which the astronauts are sitting on top of.
30 feet down, 2.5. Picking up some dust. 4 forward, drift into the right a little. Good. Okay.
During takeoff, when it would have been burning at its loudest, an astronaut plays a musical recording, accentuating how quiet it is inside the craft.
99 Pro. Good liftoff. Automatic.
An official moon rock given to Holland by Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin was tested and found to be petrified wood from Earth. The lunar module designs have been thrown away. Videotapes are missing, and all of the telemetry data, which could be used as evidence of the moon mission, is also somehow missing.
We've been unable to track it down. I mean, we don't know where this telemetry data ended up, and we don't know what path it may have taken. So, unfortunately, I'm afraid I can't really give you much of a clue as to where this data ended up.
Greg Reese reporting.
Just hold your horses. Do you mean to tell me that the Antarctic Treaty was signed by every major nation in the entire world and it hasn't been broken once through all major conflicts since that treaty in 1959? And it was to protect the penguins? What about all the amazing, beautiful, and unique species found in the Amazon rainforest? We're just taking everything down, destroying everything, killing the beautiful, connected, spiritual ecosystem of the Amazon rainforest. Why aren't we protecting some place like that actually has much more life and much more spiritualness to it? I'm not sure if spiritualness is a real word, but anyway, what about Amelia Earhart? Do you remember what she did? She tried to circumnavigate north to south on our globe, and she never returned. I wonder why. But if you look at it from the perspective of a perhaps flat plane, she was just leaving the center out beyond, into the unknown. But of course, I'm a conspiracy theorist and I'm making this up. Amelia Earhart didn't even exist. And of course the Earth is rotating at 1,000 miles per hour. That's why when you're flying a plane and you're going against the rotation of the Earth when you land it, you don't even have to account for 1,000 miles of rotation.
I know exactly where you are at. It's like you're not telling me anything new. It's like I've already heard all the debunks. It's like I'm past that. I understand atmospheric refraction allows distant objects to be visible beyond the horizon, which is consistent with the Earth's curve. It's like they tell you these things so you won't have to think for yourself, but I'm hoping you're a big boy, you wipe your own, pay your bills. It's like, until you go do your own observations, see what is going on with your own eyes, you're not going to believe a flurf. You're going to believe the authorities that tell you what to believe, why we don't see curvature, why it seems flat, why it seems stationary. But you're a big boy now. Thank God for free will.
Does anyone else find it interesting that the ice melting is supposed to prove heating, and it can only be seen in the 2 places in the world where we're not allowed to go?
Did you know that one of the main tourist attractions for Antarctica is called Deception Island? Right below South America, it's one of the only places that you can actually explore. And of course, not independently. It's a tourist attraction. It's completely contrived and regulated. And you can explore the South Pole, which is supposedly in the center of this continent. But the thing is, if you were to take this globe and unwrap it into a flat plane, that South Pole would actually be on the side, somewhere right here. So it wouldn't actually be in the center of the continent. It would just be on the outer edge of Antarctica. And you'd probably go, hey Cameron, that doesn't really make any sense. But no one has ever circumnavigated north to south. I wonder why. And what's with all these weird halos that we see in the Arctic areas? But of course, if what I'm saying could be true, then the Earth would have to be flat and ships would have to not disappear below the horizon, which they obviously disappear below the horizon. Just like what we're seeing here, when you can see the entire ship from top to bottom not disappearing below the horizon. But of course, that's just light refraction, like always, just like with the Chicago skyline and everything else I've shown you. And of course, even if you take a fisheye camera and shoot that baby 120,000 feet into the sky, guess what? The horizon raises to eye level, and you can't really see any curvature, even though they're trying so hard to show curvature with this fisheye lens. But of course, the Earth is a globe, and I made everything.
Guys, you will never believe this about Admiral Byrd. So I had a couple people asking me if I would make a video on Admiral Byrd and Antarctica and like what he wrote that he found. So as I'm researching and double checking to make sure I'm not like saying things that aren't true, guys, he was a Freemason! He was a Freemason! I never caught this before. Not only was he a 33rd degree Freemason, but he was also like buddy-buddy with multiple presidents. It's like, where does it end? What hasn't Freemasonry and Satanism touched in this society? Like, it really proves that so many things are truly weaponized opposition. This is for entertainment purposes only. These are strictly my opinions.
Here's something interesting you might not have ever thought about. You ever wonder why Australia and Africa are such barren, dry desert wastelands? Here's why. As you can see on this flat Earth map, the sun and the moon are the ones that are moving around the Earth. Now, this is in October, so watch this. Really interesting. If I zoom in, on October 25th, the sun is at the south tip of Africa. Okay, so that's its pathway right there along that region. Now, if I fast forward a month to November, it's still on that southern tip of Africa. I fast forward to December, it's still going along that southern tip of Africa. Fast forward to January, it's still on that southern tip. Fast forward to February, it's still on that southern tip. So that southern tip of Africa is experiencing 5 months of direct sun rays right over it. Now the middle part, if I look at March, it's going right over that middle part in March, but then I fast forward to April, it's not over that part right there. So now we're going on the northern part, so check this out. So that's April. May, the sun is going right over that northern part of Africa. Go to June, and it's still going right over that northern part. Look at that trail. Look how dry it is in that area, and look how perfectly the sun's pathway matches up with that. Now we go to July. Interesting. It's still on that pathway. August, going a little bit southern, but it's spending about 5 months of its time in the northern region of Africa and 5 months in that southern region. So pretty interesting. It doesn't spend a lot of time in the middle. Now, if I go over here to Australia, with this one, if I fast forward to, let's say, October, so it's kind of going towards Australia a little bit, but then if we fast forward to November, okay, so now it's going pretty much right over Australia, so that's a full month of direct sun rays. December, now it's right over Australia, so that's 2 months of sun. January, right above it, 3 months of direct sun. February, still kind of over it just a little bit, but it's interesting, especially with Africa, how the sun tends to go right over those regions, and it happens to be dry in those areas because of the sun's pathway going right over those areas. So something I thought was really interesting, if you haven't woken up to the truth about the fixed flat Earth with a solid firmament above it that divides water below from water above, you definitely need to look into it because it's going to definitely change your worldview literally and shatter your old worldview. It'll change your life. You'll look at the world in a brand new way for the better. You'll start seeing sunsets differently. You'll look at the stars differently, and life becomes a lot better, and you'll realize that we've been lied to our whole lives and that we are the center of God's creation. We are special, and everything becomes so much better. So wake up to the truth. And yeah, God bless. Have a great day, guys. So this is a follow-up on my last video where I talked about how Africa and Australia are barren, dry desert wastelands. And someone put a comment on the video asking about Alaska. Can I show how the 24-hour sun works in Alaska? I'm going to show you that, and I'm going to show you how it's so dark in Alaska in the winter months. So this is in June. As you see at the bottom, it says June 25th. I'm going to turn this setting on, and what this shows is that the sun is on that red line, which is the Tropic of Cancer, and that's why it's so hot in the US, by the way, is because the sun is literally right above us in the United States, and that's why it's so hot, is because it's a local sun. And so as you can see, whenever the sun's moving around the earth, it's taking its light with it. Now, how the lighting works is that there's a glass firmament above the earth. And if you don't know that, Hillary Clinton sure knows that. So anyways, you can see how the light reflects off of the firmament dome, and that's how we get the lighting in the summer months. Now you can see in Alaska that the sun never sets. It's a 24-hour sun. And I'm going to show you guys a video how whenever the sun's moving in Alaska, you can see the sun rises, and as it gets higher in the sky, that means it's closer to your location. But as the sun gets lower on the horizon, all it's doing is just moving further away from your location. But notice how it never goes below the horizon. The sun's just moving further away, and then as it rises, it's getting closer to you. And so that's how the 24-hour sun works in Alaska. Now, if I fast forward here to December, we can see how the sunlight works this way. Now, the sun is closer to the edge of the earth, which is closer to where the firmament touches the ground. And you can see that the way the sunlight reflects off the firmament is a little bit different now. So you can see the sunlight wraps around the dome a little bit more now. So we can see that as I move the sunlight, we can see that Alaska is darker. That's because the sun is further away from Alaska. And by the way, that's why it's colder in the United States, because the sun, it's further from the US. So its warmth is all the way out there. So that's why it's not as warm for us in the US. And so as you can see, as the sun moves around, Alaska, it's very, very dark. It only gets maybe a couple hours of sunlight in some places. But that's how the sun works in the summer months and the winter months with Alaska. But anyways, guys, if you want to see an interesting flat earth music video that just came out this year, it's now on all streaming platforms, and you can check out the interesting music video on YouTube. Just type in Biblical Earth by Brandon Lavelle. Very entertaining music video. Hope you guys have an awesome rest of the day. Catch you next time.
It came in the mail, and y'all are opening it with me. Ooh. Smell it. Woo! Here we go.
The flat Earth map dates back over 1,000 years. This map is credited to being created by a Persian astronomer. His name was Al-Biruni, and he lived between 973 AD to 1048 AD. It's the official map of the United Nations and also the United States Geological Survey. It used to be present in many places before the creation of NASA and the Antarctic Treaty in 1959. Here you see it with Admiral Byrd. This map has been restored by Dmitry from Russia with suggestions of mine, Idialenkar. Known by my YouTube channel Flat Earth Banjo, I asked Dmitry to include the Bermuda Triangle and Point Nemo, a place deep in the Pacific where NASA buries rockets. Then Robert Tozzi, a professional mapmaker, came along and enhanced the map even more. There are many people now selling this map online, but if you could order it from my online store, I would greatly appreciate it. Visit my online store now and order one of the items. I humbly thank you.